Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. It feels like the old days, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
Tap 'em, baby. That's right. In television, the Amico never ends.
Oh, well, it did end, right? But the great one is back. The chosen one. The chosen one is back. And let me tell you, it was quite a show. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who are here from the Gerard's days and from the Billy Mitchell days, you won't go back to the Intelligent Amico. I have a playlist on my channel that you guys can watch. There's going to be probably outtakes of this of this video that I'm going to put up for members only. You guys can go watch all the screw-ups. But if you really want a whole package of the events of going back, you can go check out Slopes. I'm going to put a link down below. It's a great video. It's 4 hours that you can spend going down this rabbit hole of this story of one Tommy Tallarico. And let me tell you, you may not know him from that, but maybe you know him from the Oof video, who's at 16 million views now, featuring the great one, the chosen one. And let me tell you, I always thought that Tommy was going to take him to court. I always thought that, I mean, this is not legal or financial advice, by the way, but this is my layman's interpretation. With the laws being in Britain what they are, they don't have freedom of speech like we do. It really surprised me, probably because of all the other stuff he was going through. He didn't take him to court, but if you want to raise funds for refunds, maybe get some professional legal advice if you're in this kind of situation. Regardless, guys, the chosen one is back. But we have to put this, we have to frame it in the correct perspective, right? We don't want to we don't want to engage here in cult-like behavior and just praise the man. And let me tell you, I don't hate Tommy Tallarico at all, right? As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for Tommy Tallarico, I wouldn't probably even have this channel. I would have given up. He came at a time for many of us and many of you watching this video. In the time of COVID, this was our entertainment. This was our reality show, our daily show. And this, one of the things that the Intellivision Amico taught me is that people, especially interesting people that generate a lot of controversy, should not be canceled, right? They could do other things because they could keep providing entertainment. When Tommy left, there was a void that wasn't filled by anything. At least for me, creatively, I didn't have, the same drive that I had. It wasn't until the completionist probably saga where I came back and started making videos again. And it was just never the same, right? So that's why I didn't invest in the company. I was telling people not to invest, right? I did everything to save people, but Tommy's fans, let me tell you, they don't care. They don't care. They're that devoted to Tommy Tallarico, right? And it's just, it's just something to see. It's just something to see, let me tell you. So let's frame this conversation of the great one coming back in the midst of this. If these documents are to be believed as they are being reported, Delaware suspended the license for $440,000. They had an annual tax assessment of $200,000. And that's what they're claiming. I don't know if it's because it is inactive. Are they going to go back and maybe redo the figures? I don't know, but somebody's got to pay this money. Negotiate or not, LLC or not, somebody's got to pay, right? The LLC's for liability purposes, not for avoiding taxes, right? Somebody's got to pay. That's going to be an interesting conversation, right? Because these kind of debts, it's just like the furniture debt, right? It got paid off, but who's responsible, right? Who's on the papers? And the other one is this one, California. Let me tell you, California is no joke. California wants their money yesterday. And we have Sudesh, we got Stephen Rooney, Tommy Tallarico, and Juanito is right here. Juanito, who was the star of the show. He was the star of the show in Amico Forever coming back. Now, guys, with Tommy being gone and what have you, and him only having video games live, one of the false narratives that you hear out there that, Tommy is broke, destitute, and what have you, Nothing could be further from the truth. He just sold his home. He has another home now. But even if he didn't have any of this, okay, if all he had is video games live, right? So I want you to put you in the frame of mind. What makes a businessman successful is not his failures, it's how he adapts to the eventual failures that come in business. Okay, this is not financial advice for you. Everybody's situation is different, so I'm not going to sit here and give you any sort of advice on your personal things, right? But business-wise, right? If you're running businesses, you want to have different streams of revenue, right? You want to consult with your lawyers. You want to consult with professionals. So you're always in a positive situation. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that everything that people said out there was true, which some of it wasn't, right? But let's just say he lost his house and his wife took half his things and yada, yada, yada. He still has video games live, right? He still has that. If he keeps working, he generates, I think last time I checked, it was between 300 at the low, 300 and something actually. I think it was like 350 at the low and 484 a year just doing these shows. Rinse and repeat, just doing them in different areas. And relatively, this is a very inexpensive show to put on, let me tell you. And it's very family friendly. It's corporate safe. So this type of show is always successful. No matter how many tickets, how many seats you see out there, a lot of these things are sold corporate. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way business is. Regardless, guys, if he just wanted to sell his interest in this company at that valuation, probably over 5 years, if he sells it to somebody and they evaluate it that way, he can get anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million for his interest in this particular investment alone. Forget about everything else, right? So a lot of the narratives that he's out there collecting cans or something, it couldn't be further from the truth. This man has money, right? He is not broke. Now let's get to this show, where it was revealed that the great one, that the chosen one, was back. And for those of you who don't know, right, for those of you coming for the very first time, in the annals of gaming history, gaming startups, okay, very few stories are as surreal as the one for Intellivision Amico, right? The Intellivision Amico was something else. It was pitched as a family-friendly, retro-inspired console that is going to revive your living room. Your family's going to come over now. You're going to play. And this was all led by one Tommy Tallarico back in the day. It was a pretty simple promise. It wasn't too complicated, right? Nostalgic, affordable, simple, whatever, they were pitching back then. But the reality today is much different. As you saw the figures there are over 400,000 in the hole, right? In the course of several years, they failed to launch a console, to launch a console where people invested $17 million, missed every single delivery milestone, and they ultimately failed to produce a working console. I'm looking at you, John Alvarado. After this catastrophic failure, right, they didn't even issue full refunds. They closed operations. They attempted to raise an additional $5 million. It didn't work out. And I'm telling you all these things as a backdrop because of what's going to be said here. What's going to be said in this podcast, okay, is marketing. Absolute marketing. The people in the podcast don't know it, right? Because that's not their area of expertise. Maybe one might know something, but based on their reactions, this is not their area of expertise. Let me just say that. So without further ado, let's hear some of this stuff.
Marketing budget put aside for this. So do you have a target? Your target audience in mind is going to be a lot smaller with your mobile games than it would have been with a physical product on the shelf. Have you guys kind of readjusted how you're looking to communicate with that new audience? I mean,
well, I'm not involved intimately in that part of what we're doing. We have engaged a marketing company that's helping us, and Tommy is primarily spearheading with the marketing company.
Yes.
We do want to have something that's more direct, targeted advertising.
All right, so let's frame it. Tommy's back. Tommy's engaged now. Okay.
He's mentioned that, like targeting the groups or the areas that are our target audience, basically, families, young families. That's kind of all I know about it. I might, maybe if I come on again, I might have more info later, but that's set to start next month. So you'll be able to see it in the wild for what it is. If you have ideas, I would love to hear them. If you want to communicate with us off.
Yeah, I have ideas. How about some refunds?
Mind about that. I really respect your knowledge and perspective on these things, so would love to hear any suggestions you have for sure. I've had some people recommend like reaching out to like family focused groups, whether some religious and some otherwise, and some people mentioned they have connections. So there's some grassroots stuff we'll be trying to do, just kind of direct reaching out to people and organizations that we think would be interested in this product.
Yeah, they could be, right? It could be, but that's not really it. You need to get bigger. We need to go to Steam. We need to go to Nintendo. We need to get out there, right? Especially when it comes to software. Let's see what else he had to say.
Hey, I guess let's keep talking about just in the Discord. Briefly, I just want to ask, you did answer a question about emails that were sent out. Did you want to touch on that real quick on what was in the Discord about refund dates?
Oh yeah.
Now, guys, this right here was already talked about ahead of time. And we need to address this, right? DJC is going to put them on. If you're not going to talk about the big ass tax bill that you're looking at, if we're going to ignore that California, suspended your permit, you just whatever it is, are you going to talk about these allegations or not? What are you going to do? Well, at least you got to talk about the refunds, right? And he's going to say a few things here.
Yeah. So before I get to that, let me just kind of frame things a little bit for people, because there were some comments here in this chat that people are pretty upset about what happened with Amico and the console not coming out on time and all that. And at a certain point, not that long ago, I started dealing with these support tickets because it had been neglected. When we were down to Skeleton Crew and one person was doing it and that person left. And so there's a huge backlog of tickets. And
so he goes and acknowledges that, right? That they have a huge backlog of tickets. He's the only one working. So is me. And for the majority of the public, this just seems like, regular Amico stuff, right? But it isn't. It's just not regular explaining why you're not getting your refunds.
We could manufacture if we had the money, but we didn't have the money anymore. And we were hoping that doing that would allow us to kind of pull in some investment, someone that would be interested and say, okay, yeah, let's make this. But that didn't happen. So after a while, we had to basically lay off everybody, including me.
Including him, right? So what he went into here was that, they tried to raise money again after the first failure, and they were not able to because, the second campaign wasn't successful because, there was so much negativity, right? That's what really cut him off at the knees, as he said. It wasn't the fact that they mismanaged $17 million happened. It's not. There's no apologies for that. There's no apologies for the investors. There's no... we're not going to talk about that. It's that second round where they were cut off at the knees that really killed the project. But, and of course we know that's not even close to the truth.
Yeah, I know. And a lot of times you were working for free, trying to just keep it going.
Well, exactly. So at that point, we could have.
Now the claim here is that he's working for free. Now I want you to notice, guys, that usually when you're doing an infomercial, you pay people to say stuff like this. Now, Chuck is not a sophisticated businessman, right? He just likes video games, just like everybody here. And this is what these guys play to, right? And John knows what he's doing. They've talked about this before coming, not John and DJC, but John and his team have talked about what is going to be the framing of this conversation. There's business concepts going on here. They go right over the heads of the normal fan. Now, I'm not saying that nobody out there knows what I'm talking about, but most people do not know what I'm talking about. Specifically, people that just buy video games that are looking at this stuff going, oh, these guys are delusional, da, da, da. Let's get a little bit deeper than that, because I want you to see what they're framing. I want you to see what techniques they're using. And the whole point about this, the whole point that I like talking about this is because you're going to see this in different areas of your life, right? You're going to see this when using these kind of marketing techniques, maybe when somebody's trying to sell you a home, an apartment, a condo, a car. I mean, these are just salesmanship techniques that are practiced before time, especially before you're going to do any type of presentation. And you want to reframe companies sometimes when you want to restructure them, when there's been a failure, when you want to rebrand. All these stuffs are very common. But the best and most effective way to use it is to make it palatable for the consumer. In this case, people that really like video games and they're not at all sophisticated in business and just fall for anything. So let's continue with the framing here of he's saying that he was working for free. This is like saying like the liquor store owner is working for free because he doesn't take a salary. No, he's the owner. He's the owner. First of all, can we say that John Alvarado didn't get paid? If the public figures are to be believed, he made over $500,000 in the Amico disaster where nothing was produced. At least we could say he got paid in advance for stuff that he didn't accomplish. Right? But even if, let's just say that you believe that he did the best that he could and he took a salary. Okay. Now you can't say he's not getting paid because he has an interest in these new LLCs. Right? So he's working on his own behalf. Yeah, he's not taking a salary, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have an interest in the product that he's working on, because if you think that John Alvarado is working for free, you're absolutely insane. You can work on a property that you own, you can work on an asset, produce it, and eventually sell it, and that's when you retrieve your interest. That's when you get paid. But to claim that you're working for free, no, I don't think so. Ay, Juanito, you're not working for free. All right, let's go. Oh, no, what happened?
That would have been the end, and no one would have gotten any refunds back. No one would have gotten a console. No one would have ever played the games. But a few of us, a handful of us, including me, decided that we want to try to keep this alive, and we're willing to work for free for a while to at least try out this other idea. Well, let's get these games out as software on other platforms and see if we can leverage the work that we've done on the game.
You're not working for free. You're working on deferred payments, right? You have an interest in these properties, Juanito. Come on.
To create some revenue and keep going and try to repair the company to the point where we could then start generating money, maybe attract some investment and get back to the goal of creating the console. And so we were doing that, and then we eventually sold some IPs, including the Intellivision brand, which was a huge one,
The classic, yeah.
to get some money to kind of keep us alive as we're going. So you can't work for free forever. But
Yeah. No, you see the framing of this conversation here, right? The gentleman here, and I don't think anybody, to tell you the truth, I don't think anybody hates anybody, except for maybe Mike Mullis that liked, fighting with everybody, and that's why he left the platform. He started fighting with everybody, and then claimed that they were attacking him. And it got, he laid his bet on that one. But anyway, getting back to this is marketing, guys. Okay? And this is a technique often used by a lot of individuals doing different types of sales. Now, this is just my opinion, right? This is soft begging, right? It's the art of implicitly, how would I put it, soliciting indirectly, right? Some financial support by invoking some kind of hardship, right? So you're not asking directly for money, but it's a strategy, if you will, that you imply by that leverages like guilt with nostalgia and loyalty, right? Which, fans of the console, fans of the Amico, fans of Tommy eat up like a breakfast cereal, man. They can't have enough of this stuff, right? And you constantly repeat this, I have no money, while you're showcasing new projects. Well, obviously you have money to make these new projects. You would think you would pay people back first before starting new projects. because we all know that all these gentlemen own very nice properties. All of them can take a line of credit and start creating their own games, and believe in themselves and start their own firms and do all this stuff, but they're not doing this, right? And this is the way they're framing things. So instead of accepting the consequences of their failure, right, the same leadership team rebrands and reemerges with a new company name, right? And what we call this in the business is phoenixing. Remember the arcade game Phoenix? That's what we call it. Yeah, we need to phoenix this company. We need to do X, Y, or Z. And basically, it involves just creating new entities, right, to escape some liabilities, whether they're legal, financial, or reputational. Right? I don't know exactly what the new structures are, but that would be my guess. Right? And the reason that would be my guess is because if somebody called me into a disaster like this is exactly what I'd be telling them to do. I mean, the only thing that you wouldn't find in industry is people doing this on YouTube. Because normally you would have to pay an audience in an infomercial to act like this. These guys do it on their own for free. Jesus Christ. Right? So it's even more genuine, right? Like, even if you wanted to manipulate people emotionally, you don't have to. You don't have to. These gentlemen actually feel this way. They're not acting. They are genuine in their feelings. That's what makes it the most entertaining, at least for me. I didn't invest. I don't care. Right? The only thing I care about is that, John, I didn't get my wood grain. Juanito, where's my wood grain, man? I mean, it's been, 5 years? And, the core fact remains that $17 million are gone. The tax obligations still remain unpaid. Refunds are largely unfulfilled. Right? We have money to make new LLCs. Hello. We have money to make new games and no clear plan on how to resolve any of these outstanding issues. Right? Right? This is, guys, I mean, for me, this is gold, right? If I'm looking at it from a business perspective, it's gold. Right? And it's so much fun. Right? It's like a hobby to me. It's like, that's why I'm doing the hit. Like, I mean, I can't pay for this kind of entertainment. Neither can you. This is real life. Right? Like, this is happening in real time. It is just otherworldly. Let's see what this is, guys. This is by far. If you want to know the extent of what you would get in an infomercial that you're getting for free here, because this is something that you would hear in an infomercial, absolutely. And I guarantee you that Mike Mullis is being absolutely sincere here. This man is not lying. This is not a setup. This is how he truly feels.
Weird. We were talking about this last. More so now than in the last few years. If you can pull that off, the actual market is more ripe for it today than it was even in 2019, 2020. If you look across the video game spectrum right now, and I know.
I can't.
You know this. I know, Rab, you watched.
I can't.
I know, Chuck, you're not into the newer.
It's more right now. Jesus Christ, I can't. It's more right now that they pissed away $17 million. that customers haven't received their refunds. That they never launched a console. That they're $400,000 in the hole in taxes. It's more right now than ever, right? Guys, you can't pay for this. This is a reality show in the making. Look, the one thing I learned from the Intellivision Amico era is that nobody should be canceled. Just let them. It doesn't matter. I mean, if they listen to my video, great. If they're able to I don't know, get something out of it. Maybe they learn a few business concepts that they can use in life. Great. This is entertainment only, right? I'm not giving you financial or legal advice. I'm just showing you comedy, real life comedy. Because at the core of this, right, 17 millions are gone, tax obligations are still there, we're spending more money without giving any money back. There's no intentions of resolving any of the investors' issues. And now Tommy is back. And let me tell you, what does that mean? Guys, smell it. I want you to smell it. Those are investment opportunities. Investment opportunities. You're not going to invest in a console now. What about a software package, huh? We're creating different revenue streams. That's right. Right? Good intentions don't excuse bad outcomes. Right? These are the same individuals who oversaw the first failed project that are asking for your trust. Right? Well, at the same time, not mentioning any of the government obligations that are being reported out there that they haven't paid. So I want you to know that next time you hear another game developer say that they're broke while announcing new products, starting new companies, and at the same time avoiding any real explanation for past failures, don't assume that you're helping them to rebuild. You might just be funding the same fire that they burned the first time. Right? Because there's no... How has this crew improved from before? They haven't. You know, I'm glad that Tommy's back. I'm glad that Tommy's back because that means we're going to have more content to talk about. But, you know, I hope at least I was able to explain a few concepts that were in play here. Right? One of them was the soft begging. By saying you're broke, you're trying to do the right thing, but they need your help. You need to invest in these games. But let's say in the best case scenario, right? Let's just say that, you know, these people were able to sell all the games are gangbusters and Finnegan Fox was the next Mario Brothers, right? And they bring this money in. Do you think they're going to spend it in consoles? When have they had millions of dollars and actually spent it on the hardware that works in a viable way? They still don't have anybody with experience to do it. They haven't hired anybody. They don't have the money to hire anybody. And if they bring on anybody, if they bring me on and they ask me, okay, look, we brought these, I don't know, say $10 million. We sold $10 million worth of games. We want to build a console. What do you think I would tell them if they hired me? If they hired me, their best interest, not the customers, their best interest is what I would have to work for. And I'd be looking at them going, are you insane? No. Don't make a console. You're going to lose money. This is a brand new LLC. You don't have any responsibilities towards the old one. Let the old one burn. Now, I don't know how the old owners are going to resolve how they're going to pay almost $500,000 in debt. I mean, I'd rather cover that because there's, you know, when that happens and somebody that is asked to pay that doesn't want to pay starts pointing the finger, that's going to be a much better story, let me tell you. Because then you're going to go behind the scenes and see who did that and who, you know, whatever. That's going to come out in court. Because if somebody is held liable to something they don't want to pay, you know, most likely somebody's going to go to court and we're going to be reading some very interesting court documents, let me tell you. But at this time, you need to remember, this is soft begging and phoenixing, right? They're going to rebuild this brand. And let me tell you, they will make some money, especially if they get on Nintendo. They're not going to do it the Amico Home. That's just trash. Anything that's labeled Amico is no good, right? It's already tainted. But if they get games out there, yeah, with Happy Homes, they could do something. But if you're looking for refunds or for the Amico to resurge again, you better think twice. That's not going to happen, but I'm sure glad that Tommy's back. Welcome back, Tommy. Let's see what you do. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.